Contemplating the body, impermanence, and impurity. Today I would like to invite you to step into a special journey, one that is not new yet often overlooked. It is the journey of contemplating the body, examining the very body we carry so we can see clearly its impermanence and its impurity. This is not an easy topic because it requires us to face what we usually avoid. But if we dare to enter it, we will find the serenity and liberation we have long been seeking. Have you ever asked what this body really is? We live in it every day, from the moment we open our eyes, hear the birds singing outside the window, until we lie down to sleep at night. The body is what is closest to us. It accompanies us through every joy and sorrow, through sunny days and cold, rainy nights. And yet, strangely, despite such closeness, we rarely truly understand it, rarely live with it wholeheartedly. We often treat the body like a machine, a tool to serve our dreams, our desires, our grand plans for life. We chase success, immerse ourselves in love, seek fame, and in that spinning wheel we forget that all of those things unfold through this very body. Consider this. Every morning we stand before the mirror, comb our hair, put on fine clothes, smile at our reflection. But have we ever looked deeper, not through the mirror but with the eyes of mindfulness, to see that this body is not just the polished exterior we adorn? Have we ever asked what is happening inside it? What makes it function, and what will happen when it no longer functions? Only when the body is weary, when we are ill in bed, when we notice wrinkles appearing on our face, or when death comes close to someone we love, do we startle and look back, asking, "Who am I in this body? Is this body truly me? Does it belong to me forever?" The Buddha taught a profound saying, "Whoever contemplates the body deeply has wisdom. Whoever is heedless with the body loses the path." This teaching is not merely advice, but a sincere invitation, a doorway opening onto the way of awakening. Contemplating the body is not to make us despise it or deny its existence, but to see its true nature. This body is impermanent. It is not lasting. It changes moment by moment. This body is impure. It is not as immaculate as we imagine. It contains things we often avoid thinking about, such as sweat, blood and pus, urine and feces. But do not be afraid and do not turn away, because contemplation is not to reject, but to understand and accept, so that we may live more lightly and let go of the delusions we have clung to. Imagine a quiet morning. You sit down on a small chair in the corner of your room. Soft sunlight streams through the window. You close your eyes and begin to feel your own breath. The in-breath is cool at the tip of the nose. The out-breath is warm at the wings of the nose. You realize that in that very moment this body is alive, operating in a wondrous way we seldom notice. Your heart beats steadily. Your lungs breathe without pause. Blood flows through every tiny vessel. All of it happens without you having to command it, without you needing to control it. And then, as you continue to examine, you also see something else. This body will not be like this forever. It was once a fragile infant needing a mother's arms, then grew into a youth full of vitality. And now it is on its way to old age, to days of decline. One day it will stop beating, stop breathing, and return to the earth and sky. That is impermanence, a truth none of us can deny. Looking deeper still, you will see the body is not as clean as we often assume. Think about it. Every day we bathe, wash away dust, spray perfume to mask our odor, but all of that is only the surface. What is inside this body? The beads of sweat when we work under strain, the saliva we swallow while eating, the waste eliminated after each meal. We do not want to think of these. We avoid them. But that is the truth. This body is not a flawless jade statue, not a perfect pearl, but a composite of elements in constant change and operation, and eventually it will break down. The wonder is that when we accept this truth, when fear and clinging subside, we begin to live more freely and peacefully. My dear friends, we often live with the body like a companion we seldom speak to or listen to. We adorn it with expensive clothes, make it more attractive in others' eyes, nourish it with delicious meals. Yet we forget that all of this is temporary. The body is not something we possess forever. It does not belong to us in the way we imagine. We cannot command it not to age, not to fall ill, not to die. So why not devote time to contemplating it, to seeing clearly its impermanence and impurity, so that we may live a more meaningful and profound life? Consider a simple example from daily life. When you eat a meal, you savor the taste of each bite. You chew slowly. You enjoy the moment. But just a few hours later, what does that food become? It is no longer the delicacies you admired. It becomes something the body expels, something we prefer not to mention. That is the body's reality. It operates in ways we cannot control. Yet if we contemplate this, we will cling less to fleeting pleasures. We will cherish each moment without being swept away by craving. In Buddhism, contemplating the body is a central part of the 4 foundations of mindfulness. These 4 are contemplation of the body, feelings, mind, and mental objects. Why does contemplation of the body come first? Because the body is closest to us, easiest to see and to feel. You do not need to go anywhere to find reality. Reality is right here in this body, in each breath, each heartbeat, each step. When we learn to return to the body, we begin a journey of understanding ourselves, understanding what is happening in our mind, our emotions, and even the laws that govern life. Today we will walk the path step by step, from recognizing the body, to seeing clearly its impermanence, and finally to understanding that this body is not the self, not what we should grasp and cling to. Let us begin with a simple question. When was the last time you truly felt your body? Not through the bathroom mirror, not through compliments from friends, but through your own mindfulness. If the answer is never or long ago, then this is the moment for us to return. Sit down, take a deep breath, feel the air filling your chest, and let the journey of contemplating the body begin. But before going further, let me tell you a short story. There was a middle-aged man who lived a busy life, working from early morning till late at night to support his family, to buy a house, to buy a car. He was proud of his health. He believed this body was his greatest asset, something he could rely on forever. But then one day, he discovered he had a serious illness. The doctor said he only had a few months to live. In the final days of his life, lying on a hospital bed, he looked back and realized that he had neglected his body for many years. He had not listened to it, had not cared for it with mindfulness, but only chased after external things. He told his loved ones that if only he had learned to contemplate the body earlier, if only he had understood that this body is impermanent, he would have lived differently, more lightly, more meaningfully. That story is not meant to frighten us, but to remind us that this body is both a friend and a teacher. It teaches us about impermanence through each wrinkle, each ache, each weakening breath. It teaches us about impurity through what we see every day, from the sweat on the forehead to the stains on the hands. But if we know how to listen, if we know how to contemplate, this body will no longer be the source of suffering, but will become the path that leads us to liberation. So right now, would you like to practice a little with me? Find a quiet corner in your home. Sit down, place your hands on your thighs, close your eyes. Breathe in deeply. Feel the stream of air passing through the nose, down the chest, down the belly. Breathe out slowly. Feel the body relax. Just a few minutes, and you will begin to sense your body not as something distant, but as a part of reality, a part of your very self. This is the first step in the journey of contemplating the body, the first step to clearly see impermanence and impurity. My dear friends, this journey will be long. We will walk together through each aspect of the body, from how it changes over time to how it reflects the laws of life. But I believe that if we are patient and open-hearted, we will find a deep peace, a wisdom we did not expect. Let us continue in the next section, where we will explore more deeply the body as a place of both suffering and liberation. Part 2. The body, source of suffering and liberation. Next, we will go deeper to see that the body is not only a companion, but also the source of both suffering and liberation. This is a truth both simple and profound, a principle that, once understood, changes the way we live, making us lighter and freer. First, let us ask a question together. What is this body? We usually take it for granted, as a part of ourselves that needs no questioning. We wake up, brush our teeth, eat breakfast, go to work. Everything happens through this body without much thought. But if we pause for a moment and look more deeply, we will see that the body is not so simple. It is not just the hands holding chopsticks, the feet walking, or the eyes looking out at the world. This body is a wondrous composite, a union of millions of cells, of blood, of bones, of skin and flesh. All of it is operating without rest to keep us alive. Yet it is also a temporary composite, something changing every second and every minute beyond our control. Imagine an ordinary day. In the morning you wake up and feel the lightness of your body after a good sleep. You make a cup of tea, sit by the window, and watch sunlight filter through the leaves. In that moment the body seems like a wonderful friend, bringing you comfort and ease. But by noon you are working under pressure. Sweat runs down your forehead, your stomach growls with hunger, your mind tires from overthinking. By evening you might have a backache from sitting too long or feel heavy after a long day. In just one day the body has changed many times, from comfort to fatigue, from vigor to discomfort. That is impermanence, a characteristic the body carries whether we want it or not. And this impermanence is not limited to small daily changes. If we look further, we will see the body passing through larger stages that every one of us must traverse. In childhood, the body is fragile. We need to be carried in our mother's arms, to be cared for by our parents in every meal and every sleep. Then as we grow up, the body becomes strong and full of vitality. We run and jump, explore the world, and think we can do anything. But youth passes. The body begins to slow. Hair starts to gray. Skin begins to wrinkle. Eyes begin to blur. And finally, in old age, the body declines. We can no longer move easily, no longer eat comfortably. Everything becomes more difficult than ever. That is the journey of the body, a journey no one can escape. Then one day this body will stop completely. Death comes without notice and without negotiation. We can imagine the scene, though it is not pleasant at all. A loved one of yours or even you in the future lies on a bed. The breath grows faint, the heart stops beating, the body grows cold, and then returns to the earth and sky. This is the truth we often avoid, yet it is the truth we must face if we wish to live mindfully. This body is impermanent. It is not enduring and is not ours forever. But precisely because it is impermanent, it teaches us a great lesson. Do not cling. Do not place all your trust in what cannot endure. Now let us look at another aspect. The body is the source of suffering. The Buddha taught that birth, aging, sickness, and death are the four great sufferings of human life, and all originate from the body. Without a body, we would not endure the pain of being born, the weakening of old age, the trials of illness, or the fear of death. Consider this. When you have a toothache, a small pain alone is enough to keep you up all night, unable to eat, unable to concentrate. Or when you catch the flu, your body burns with fever, your head spins, and you just want to lie still while all your plans are set aside. That is suffering from the body, and it arrives naturally without invitation. But suffering does not stop at the physical level. The body also brings mental suffering, the worries and fears we create ourselves. When we are young, we worry about our appearance. We fear we are not beautiful enough or attractive enough. We stand before the mirror, inspecting every pimple and dark spot. We chase cosmetics and procedures to preserve our looks. Then when old age comes, we fear wrinkles, fear decline, fear death drawing near. All these fears arise from the body, from our clinging to it, from seeing it as an inseparable part of who we are. If we look at the body only as something to adorn and take pride in, we will always be swept into the whirlpool of craving and fear. But if we contemplate it, if we see clearly its impermanence and impurity, we will step out of that whirlpool. This is precisely the wonder the Buddha pointed out. The body is not only the source of suffering, but also the path that leads us to awakening. So what is contemplation of the body? It is not sitting and looking at our body with eyes of aversion, nor is it denying its existence. Contemplation of the body is to look directly at it as it is, without adding or subtracting, without embellishing. We look at it with mindfulness, with curiosity, with compassion. We see that this body is not solid, it will disintegrate. We see that this body is not pure, it is full of things we usually avoid. But when we truly see this, we no longer fear, no longer cling, and from there we find freedom. Try practicing a little right now. You can sit down, close your eyes, and begin to feel your body. Place your hand on your abdomen, breathe in deeply, and feel the belly expand. Breathe out slowly, and feel the belly contract. Then bring your attention to your chest, and feel your heartbeat, each steady beat. Continue moving your attention to your shoulders. Notice whether your shoulders are tight, whether they are tired. Then up to the head, feel the hair, the scalp, and sense even the smallest sensations. You do not need to do anything, only observe, only be aware. In those few minutes you will see your body more clearly than ever. You will see that it is alive, it is changing, and you will begin to understand that it is not something immutable. When you contemplate the body in this way, you will realize something. This body is neither beautiful nor ugly. It is simply a phenomenon unfolding. We usually think the body is beautiful when it is healthy, youthful, and well-proportioned. But that beauty is only temporary. It will fade when illness comes, when old age comes. We also often think the body is ugly when it is dirty, when it is sick, when it is weak. But that ugliness is also only a viewpoint, a label our mind places upon it. In truth, the body is neither beautiful nor ugly. It is a composite of elements operating according to natural laws. And when we understand this, we begin to let go. We no longer chase after temporary beauty, no longer fear temporary ugliness. We live with the body as it is, care for it with mindfulness, but do not cling to it. This is the path of liberation that the body offers. The Buddha taught that within this body is the whole world, birth and death, suffering and liberation. If we know how to look into it, we will see everything. Consider another example from life. I have a friend who loves food. Whenever he eats out, he always chooses the finest dishes, from steak and fresh seafood to smooth white pastries. He savors every bite, every flavor, and feels happy because of it. But one day he developed stomach pain. The doctor told him to abstain and avoid the foods he liked. He was sad and felt as though he had lost a part of the joy in his life. Over time, however, he began to practice mindfulness while eating. He chewed each bite of plain rice, each piece of boiled vegetable slowly, and realized that joy does not lie in the dish, but in mindfulness. He contemplated his body, saw that the aching stomach was also part of impermanence, and learned to accept it instead of resisting it. This body is a wonderful teacher if we know how to listen. It teaches us impermanence through each pain and each change. It teaches us impurity through what we see every day, from sweat and tears to what is excreted. But it also teaches us liberation when we know how to look at it with mindful eyes, when we know how to let go of the cravings and fears it brings. In the next section, we will delve deeper into the stages of the body from childhood to old age to see more clearly that journey of impermanence. But before ending this part, let us take a deep breath together, feel our body right now, and smile at it as a way of saying thank you for accompanying us. Part 3. The stages of the body and suffering. Now we will go deeper into the body's journey through each stage of life, from childhood and youth to old age, so we can more clearly recognize the sufferings it brings, and from there find a peaceful path amid that flow of impermanence. Let us begin with a question. Have you ever looked back on your body's journey? Not only through old photos or vague memories, but through honest contemplation to see how this body has changed over time. Each of us has our own story about our body, but all of us go through the same stages, the stages the Buddha called birth, aging, sickness, and death. These are not isolated events, but a continuous sequence, a current we cannot stop or control. And within that current, suffering appears, sometimes obvious, sometimes quiet, but always present. The first stage, childhood, is when the body begins its journey. Think back to the days when you were small, or if you have young children, think of them. A child's body is truly marvelous. It is small, soft, full of latent vitality, yet fragile and easily hurt. A slight fever can make a child cry all night. A small scratch can be enough to cause pain. As children, we cannot feed ourselves or walk on our own. We depend entirely on our parents, on others to care for us. That is the body's first suffering, weakness, helplessness before a vast world. But at that time we do not realize it. We simply live carefree, laughing and crying, not knowing that this very body is growing day by day, preparing for greater sufferings ahead. Imagine a summer afternoon. You sit and watch a child playing in the yard. The child runs and jumps, falls down, and then stands up again, with little legs covered in dirt, little hands waving in the air. Seeing that scene, we feel joy and warmth. But if we look deeper, we will see that body will not remain so. Those running steps will slow, those peals of laughter will change. And then that body will move into the next stage, youth, where suffering begins to take clearer shape. Youth is the time when the body is at its most vibrant. Think of the years when you were 18 or 20, or if you are at that age, feel it now. The body at this time is strong and flexible. We can stay up late working, run kilometers without tiring, eat and drink freely without worry. We feel invincible, as if this body were a perfect machine that never breaks down. But precisely within that strength, suffering arises, not from weakness but from desire, from the cravings the body stirs up. When we are young, the body arouses powerful longings in us. We want to be loved, admired, recognized. We stand before the mirror and examine ourselves. We worry about height and weight, about every feature of the face. We chase after love, sometimes suffering from rejection, sometimes overwhelmed with happiness when it is returned. We seek joy in parties, trips, and new experiences. But all of these arise from the body, from the eyes wanting to see beauty, from the ears wanting to hear praise, from the tongue wanting to taste deliciousness. And when these desires are not fulfilled, suffering appears as sadness, disappointment, or endless competition. Over time, he began to practice meditation. He learned to contemplate the body, to look at the leg he still had, to look at his own breath, and he realized that this body was not himself. It was only a temporary component. From then on, he lived more slowly and deeply, no longer chasing the desires that had once carried him along in youth. Fong's story shows us that youth is not only a time of strength, but also a time of suffering when the body leads us into ceaseless cravings. But then youth passes, and the body enters the next stage, old age, where suffering becomes clearer than ever. Old age is when the body begins to decline. Think of your grandparents, or of yourself in a few decades. The body is no longer as strong as before. The limbs grow sluggish, the back aches, the eyes blur, the ears grow hard of hearing. Simple tasks like tying shoelaces, climbing stairs, or chewing a piece of meat become challenges. We feel more tired, sleep is no longer deep, food no longer tastes as good. Then illness comes, not only fleeting colds, but long-lasting diseases from joint pain and diabetes to heart disease. That is the suffering of old age, the suffering of a body gradually losing its vitality. Imagine a morning when you sit beside your grandmother. She tells you stories from the past. Her voice trembles, her hands are full of wrinkles, her eyes clouded by cataracts. She says she misses the days when she could walk kilometers without fatigue, when she could work all day without rest. But now she only sits in one place waiting for her children and grandchildren to care for her, waiting for the days to pass. Looking at her, you feel the impermanence of the body. You see that no one can keep it forever, no one can escape that law. And then there is a final truth we must face. This body will decay. Death is the endpoint of every stage, but also the beginning of a new cycle in the round of birth and death. At death, the body stops breathing, the heart stops beating, every activity ceases. It becomes a motionless, cold mass, then decomposes and returns to earth, to water, to air. That is the ultimate impermanence, the clearest impurity we can see. Strangely, when we contemplate this, we are no longer afraid, because we understand it is a natural law, not something to cling to or resist. Think of a time you attended a funeral. You look at the person lying in the coffin, a face once radiant now motionless, hands that once embraced you now stiff. You see the weeping, the regret of the loved ones, but you also see that this body is no longer that person. It is only a shell that has completed its task. If we contemplate the body early on, if we clearly see that impermanence, we will not suffer as much when facing death, because we know it is inevitable. But suffering does not come only from those great stages. It also arises from unexpected moments, from accidents and sudden illnesses we cannot foresee. One day you are happily walking down the street and suddenly trip and break your arm. One evening you eat something unsuitable and writhe in pain all night. These things remind us that this body is fragile, easily harmed, not under our control. A friend of mine, Hoa, once told me she always thought she was healthy until one day she developed acute appendicitis and needed emergency surgery. Lying in the hospital bed, she realized this body is not something she can rely on forever. It can betray her at any time. So how do we live with these sufferings? How do we avoid being swept away by the weakness of childhood, the desires of youth, the decline of old age, or the inevitability of death? The answer lies in contemplating the body, looking straight at it, understanding it, and letting it go. Try practicing right now. Sit down, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and bring your attention to your feet. Feel them. Think of your first steps as a child, of your running and jumping in youth, and imagine the day they will slow when you depart. Then bring attention to your hands. Think of the times they held a pen, embraced someone, and imagine the day they will tremble and lose strength. Just observe, without judgment, without fear, and you will see your body across the stages and understand that everything is impermanent. Through each stage from childhood and youth to old age, we clearly see change, decline, and impurity. But when we contemplate, we no longer see these as enemies, but as teachers guiding us toward letting go and serenity. In the next section, we will explore more specific ways to contemplate the body so we can understand and release the delusions the body brings. But for now, take a deep breath, feel your body in this moment, and smile at it as a gesture of gratitude for having accompanied you. Part 4. Contemplating the body, understanding and letting go. Next, we will not stop at recognizing suffering, but step into a new journey, the journey of contemplating the body to understand and let go. From what we see, we discover peace and freedom amid the ever-changing flow of life. First, let us clarify one thing. What is contemplation of the body? It is not sitting and looking at your body with eyes of aversion, not rejecting it, denying it, or seeing it as something frightening. Nor is contemplation a way to become pessimistic and lose the joy of living. On the contrary, contemplating the body is to look straight at it as it is. With mindfulness, with compassion, with a curious and non-judgmental mind, we look in order to understand, to see its nature clearly, and from there to let go of the delusions and attachments we have placed on it. This is an art, a way of living that the Buddha taught so that we are no longer slaves to the body, but become its companion on the path to awakening. So what is the purpose of contemplating the body? It is not to turn away from the body, but to love it rightly, not blindly. We often love our body in the wrong way. We care for it with delicious foods and fine clothes. But that is love based on desire, based on the ego wanting it to be this way or that. Contemplation helps us love it with mindfulness, with the understanding that it is impermanent and impure. Therefore, we do not need to cling to it or fear when it changes. When we understand this, we live more lightly, no longer swept away by worries about appearance, health, or age. Imagine a quiet afternoon. You sit by the riverbank and watch the water flow. The water moves without stopping and never stands still, yet it is still beautiful and peaceful. Our body is the same. It is like that river, always changing and always flowing. If we know how to look at it with mindful eyes, we will see it is neither beautiful nor ugly. It is simply a phenomenon unfolding. We do not need to hold it tightly or fear its loss, because that is its nature. Contemplation of the body is like sitting by that river, observing the current without jumping in to cling to it, and without trying to stop it. So how do we contemplate the body? One of the simplest ways is to return to the breath. The breath is a bridge between body and mind, a doorway into contemplation. Try practicing right now. You do not need much preparation. Only sit on a chair or on the floor, or even lie down if you prefer. Close your eyes, place your hand on your belly, breathe in deeply, and feel the air pass through the nose, down into the chest and the belly. Breathe out slowly, feel the belly fall, and feel the air move out. Do this a few times, then begin to bring attention to each part of the body. Bring attention to the feet. Feel the toes and the soles. Notice whether they feel warm, cool, or tense. Then move to the ankles, the knees, and the thighs. Continue in this way through each part, without hurrying and without judgment, only observing. When you do this, you will notice something interesting. This body is not a single solid block as we often think. It is a collection of many parts, many sensations, many tiny changes happening at the same time. You may feel an itch in the hand, an ache in the shoulder, or warmth in the chest. Everything comes and goes. Nothing remains forever. This is impermanence, and you can see it in this very moment. If you pay closer attention, you will see this body is not as clean as we imagine. Sweat is beading on the forehead, Thick saliva is moving in the mouth, and the stomach is digesting food. These things are ordinary and natural, yet we often avoid them and do not want to think about them. Contemplation of the body means having the courage to look at them, accept them, and understand that this is the body's nature. Let me tell you a story. There was a man named Tuan. He was a construction engineer, always busy with work. Tuan was very proud of his body. He trained every day, his muscles were firm, and his health abundant. He believed that as long as he kept his body strong, he would be happy forever. Then one day he developed chronic back pain from overwork. At the hospital, the doctor told him he had a herniated disc and had to limit his movements and avoid heavy exercise. Tuan fell into crisis. He could not accept that his body was no longer the same. Then he joined a meditation course and learned to contemplate the body. Each day he sat down and felt each wave of pain in his back without resisting and without sorrow, only observing. Gradually, he realized that the pain was impermanent. It came and went, and his body was not everything that defined him. From then on, he lived more slowly, cared for his body with mindfulness, and no longer clung to the strength he had once been proud of. Tuan's story shows that contemplation of the body is not just an exercise, but a way of living. When we contemplate the body, we understand that this body is not solid. It will grow old, it will fall ill, and it will break down. We also understand that it is not pure and that it is full of things we often consider imperfect. When we accept this, we no longer feel afraid, and we stop chasing illusions of beauty and power. We let go, and in that letting go we find freedom. Another way to contemplate the body is to look at its impurity. This is a method the Buddha often taught his disciples, known as contemplation of impurity. It may sound uncomfortable, but it is actually very simple and very profound. Think of the body as a leather bag filled with blood, bones, internal organs, sweat, feces, and urine. We usually see only the surface, the smooth skin and the glossy hair, but if we look more deeply, we will see what lies within. Imagine that one day you cut your hand and blood flows out, bright red, then dries into a brown crust. Or a day when you sweat after work and your body odor rises in a way that is not pleasant at all. These things are not for disgust. They are for awakening, so that we see this body is not the precious jewel we once imagined. It is only a temporary composite, not something worth clinging to. Part 5. The 4 Foundations of Mindfulness, with contemplation of the body as the base. In the previous section, we explored how contemplation of the body helps us to understand and to let go. We saw that by looking directly at the impermanence and impurity of the body, we can release delusions and live more peacefully in a changing world. Next, we will delve deeper into an important aspect of Buddhism, the 4 Foundations of Mindfulness, in which contemplation of the body is placed first as a doorway to wisdom and liberation. First, let us understand what the 4 foundations of mindfulness are. They are the 4 domains the Buddha taught us to contemplate in order to live awake and to understand the true nature of life. They are contemplation of the body in the body, feelings in feelings, mind in mind, and phenomena in phenomena. Simply put, we contemplate the body, sensations, the mind, and the surrounding phenomena to see them as they truly are, without adding or distorting. This is the path the Buddha walked and taught to his disciples, and to this day it remains a compass for those who want to live a life of deep meaning. Why, among these 4 domains, does contemplation of the body come first? Why did the Buddha not begin with the mind, with feelings, or with phenomena? The answer lies in the closeness and clarity of the body. We carry the body from birth. We feel it every day, every hour, every minute. We do not have to search far to encounter reality. Reality is right here in each breath, each step, and each heartbeat. The body is what we can most easily see and touch, and for this reason it becomes the ideal starting point for training mindfulness and for settling the mind before going deeper into more subtle domains like feelings, mind, and phenomena. Imagine an early morning. You wake up and step out of bed, feeling your feet touch the floor. You brush your teeth and feel the toothbrush move across each tooth, the cool water in your mouth. You take a sip of tea and feel the light bitterness spread across your tongue and the warmth pass into your hand. All of these occur through the body, and we do not need to try to notice them. They are already there, ready for contemplation. This is why contemplation of the body is foundational. It is the first doorway and the first step on the path of awakening. So what is contemplation of the body in the four foundations of mindfulness? The Buddha taught that contemplating the body in the body means looking at the body in a pure way, without mixing in emotions and without adding ideas. We observe it as it is. When walking, know you are walking. When standing, know you are standing. When lying down, know you are lying down. When breathing, know you are breathing. This is not complicated, requires no lofty knowledge. It is a simple return, an honest awareness. Yet precisely this simplicity brings great power. For when we truly know our body, we begin to see impermanence and impurity clearly, and from there the door opens to deeper understanding. Try a short practice now. Sit on a chair, on the floor, or anywhere you feel comfortable. Close your eyes, breathe in deeply, and breathe out slowly. Bring attention to your breath. There is no need to change it or adjust it. Only recognize it. As the breath comes in, know it comes in. As the breath goes out, know it goes out. Then widen your attention to the whole body, sensing your posture in this moment. If you are sitting, feel the contact of your seat. Notice whether the back is straight or curved, and where the hands rest on the thighs. If you are standing, feel the feet on the ground and the weight settling downward. Just know, do nothing more, think nothing more. In those few minutes, you are contemplating the body in the body. You are living the Buddhist teaching. As you practice, you will notice that the body is always changing. The breath is never exactly the same, sometimes long, sometimes short, sometimes deep, sometimes shallow. So too the body, sometimes at ease, sometimes tense, sometimes warm, sometimes cool. This is impermanence, visible in each moment. And if you pay closer attention, you will see the body is not clean in the way we imagine. The breath carries air, but also dust from outside. Your mouth has saliva. Your stomach is digesting. These are natural processes, but they are not things we typically call beautiful. Contemplation helps us see this clearly and prevents us from being deluded about the body. Let me tell you a story. There was a woman named Han, a yoga teacher who loved her body. She practiced daily, ate healthfully, and kept herself flexible and strong. She regarded her body as a temple, something sacred to protect. Then one day she fell while practicing and broke a bone in her arm. She had to rest for months, unable to do the movements she loved. She was sorrowful, feeling as though she had lost a part of herself. Later she joined a course on the four foundations of mindfulness and learned to contemplate the body. She sat and felt her broken arm, the pain, the immobility. She realized this body was not the unchanging temple she had imagined. It could break, it could weaken, and it was not the whole of who she was. From then on she still practiced yoga, but with a different mind, no longer clinging, simply using it as a way to care for the body with mindfulness. Han's story shows that contemplating the body in the four foundations is not merely an exercise. It is a way to change how we see the body. We no longer treat it as something to boast of or worship, but as a phenomenon to examine. And when we do this, we do not stop at the body. We naturally move to the other foundations. Contemplation of feelings, of mind, and of phenomena. All are interconnected. Consider an ordinary day. Walking to work, you can contemplate the body by knowing each step, feeling the foot touch the ground, the knee bend, the hips move. At lunch, you can contemplate the body by being aware of the hand holding chopsticks, the mouth chewing, the tongue tasting. Sitting at your desk, you can contemplate the body by feeling your back against the chair and your fingers on the keyboard. Each of these is an opportunity to practice, to live with the body in mindfulness rather than being dragged along in unawareness. Practicing this way, we see impermanence more clearly. Think about it. This morning you might feel well, but by afternoon you may be tired from work. Yesterday you ate heartily, but today you feel bloated. The body changes continually, regardless of our wishes. Contemplation helps us recognize this, so we do not cling to fleeting states or despair when they pass. We simply observe and know, and in that knowing we find peace. Another aspect of contemplation in the four foundations is examining the elements that compose the body. The Buddha taught that this body is made of the four great elements: earth, water, wind, and fire. Earth is bones, flesh, and skin. Water is blood, sweat, and tears. Wind is breath and movement. Fire is warmth and digestion. Contemplating in this way, we see the body is not a separate, self-existing entity, but a combination of elements. And these elements too are impermanent and will disperse. Try practicing now. Sit and breathe deeply. Sense your bones, firm, yet wearing down with time. Sense the blood flowing, which one day will cease to flow. Sense the breath, which will also stop. Seeing the body through the lens of the four elements, you understand it is not the self and not truly yours. My friends, contemplation of the body in the four foundations is fundamental because it begins with what is closest to us, the body. From there we understand more deeply our feelings, our mind, and phenomena. When we know our body clearly, while walking, standing, lying down, sitting, and breathing, we strengthen attention and mindfulness, and that attention leads us naturally to the remaining foundations. It is like building a house. We must begin with the foundation, and contemplation of the body is that solid base. To close this section, let us practice once more. Sit, breathe deeply, and bring attention to the whole body. Know your posture, know the breath, know even the smallest sensation. Ask yourself, is this body truly me? Will it remain forever? Then exhale, smile, and thank the body for being the ground of your awakening. In the next section, we will explore the relationship between the body and desire to see how the body leads our actions and how we can transcend those temptations. For now, take a deep breath, feel your body, and let it guide you into mindfulness. Try a gentle contemplation of impurity. Sit, close your eyes, breathe evenly, and bring attention to your skin. Feel it, then consider what lies beneath: muscles, tendons, bones, blood. Think of what the body excretes each day: sweat, urine, feces. Do not be afraid or disgusted, only be aware. When you do this, you will see your body from a new angle, not something to worship, but something to understand and release. This is not nihilism, it is wakefulness, seeing reality clearly so you can live more rightly. What happens when we contemplate the body this way? First, we no longer chase illusions. We do not obsess over being more beautiful, younger, or stronger. We still care for the body, but with mindfulness rather than greed. Second, we live peacefully amid impermanence. When the body is ill, we do not panic. When it ages, we do not despair, because we have long understood the law. Third, we no longer fear death, for we understand this body is not the self. It is only a garment we temporarily wear in this life. To end this section, let us practice once more. Sit and breathe deeply, bringing attention to the whole body. Ask yourself, is this body solid? Is it pure? Is it truly me? Do not answer immediately. Just ask, and let the questions settle deeply in the mind. Then exhale, smile, and thank the body for giving you the chance to contemplate. Part 6. The Body and Desire. Hello friends. In the previous section, we saw that contemplating the body is foundational in the four foundations of mindfulness, the first doorway through which we train mindfulness to understand the impermanence and impurity of the body. Today, we will go deeper into another aspect, one that every one of us has experienced: the relationship between the body and desire. The body is not only a composite of flesh and bone, it is also the source of the cravings and longings that drive our behavior. Without wisdom, we easily become its slaves. Let us begin with a question. Have you ever wondered why we chase what the body likes? Why do we want delicious food, fine clothes, praise, and love? All of these arise from the body, from the senses it provides. Our eyes want to see beauty. Our ears want to hear sweet words. Our tongue wants to taste delicious flavors. Our nose wants to smell fragrance. And our skin wants to feel warmth and softness. The senses are not at fault. They are simply doing their job. But when we let them lead us without mindfulness, we fall into the vortex of desire, a vortex both sweet and painful. Imagine an evening in an elegant restaurant. Before you is a fragrant plate, golden grilled meat, fresh green vegetables, glossy sauce. You lift your chopsticks, take a bite, and feel flavor spread across your tongue, a wave of happiness flooding in. But only a few hours later, what does that food become? It is no longer the delicacy you admired. It becomes what the body expels, something we do not wish to mention. That is the body's truth. It craves pleasure from the senses, but that pleasure is temporary. And what follows the pleasure? Emptiness, suffering when we are no longer satisfied. The body guides our actions through these senses. When our eyes see a beautiful outfit in a shop, we want to own it. We think wearing it will make us more attractive and confident. When our ears hear praise, we are delighted and we want to hear more. We do whatever we can to win approval. When our nose catches a trace of perfume, we want to buy it and be fragrant and alluring. All of this arises from the body, from the signals it sends to the mind. Without wakefulness, we will chase them endlessly, like a horse being ridden without reins. Try practicing now. Sit down, breathe deeply, and bring attention to one sense, such as the tongue. Recall the last time you ate a delicious dish. Remember the feeling of tasting it, the joy it brought. Then think further. Where is that food now? What did it become inside your body? Recognize that the joy was brief, that the body craved it, yet it did not last. Then widen attention to the eyes, ears, nose, and skin. Know what they like and see that all of it is impermanent. Simply observe without judgment, and you will see desire arise and dissolve like waves upon the sea. When we contemplate the body in this way, we are no longer led by it. We still eat, dress, and live, but with mindfulness rather than greed. We do not reject or force the body. We care for it like a friend, with gratitude yet without clinging. This is the middle way the Buddha taught. Neither indulgence nor mortification, but living in harmony with the body and mindfulness. Consider another real situation. A friend of mine, Nok, loved to be praised. Whenever someone told her she was pretty or capable, she felt happy all day. But when nobody noticed her, she became sad and tried to stand out more. She was swept into the desire of the ear. The ego's need to be affirmed through the body. Then she learned to contemplate the body, to sit and feel her body, recognizing that praise is only sound that comes and goes, not her essence. From then on, she still enjoyed praise but no longer depended on it or let it dictate her emotions. The body and desire are inseparable parts of life, but they are not everything. When we contemplate the body, we see that these cravings arise from impermanence and impurity, so we need not chase them. We live with the body as it is, honoring it without letting it rule us. In the next section, we will explore the body as a raft to cross the river, a means to cross birth and death, seeing that it is not the ultimate goal, but only the path. For now, take a deep breath, feel your body, acknowledge its longings, and smile at it in mindfulness. Part 7. The body as a raft across the river. In the previous section, we saw how the body drives behavior through desire, and how contemplating the body helps us move beyond those fleeting cravings to live more mindfully. Today, we will turn to a new perspective, an image the Buddha often used to speak about the body as a raft across the river. It is a means to cross the river of birth and death to the shore of awakening, but not something to cling to forever. Imagine standing on the bank of a wide river, the water swift and the waves pounding the shore. On the far side lies a peaceful land, free from suffering and worry. To reach it, you need a raft. You find logs, tie them together into a simple raft, and use it to cross the water. The raft is not beautiful or luxurious. Sometimes it even wobbles, yet it is enough to carry you across. When you reach the far shore, you step onto solid ground. Thank the raft, but you do not hoist it onto your shoulder and carry it with you, because it has finished its task. Our body is the same. It is the raft we use to cross life, to move through the sufferings of birth, aging, sickness, and death. But it is not the destination and not something to grasp tightly. The Buddha used this example to teach his disciples that the body is a means, not the end. We need it to live, to practice, to walk the path of mindfulness. But we should not become infatuated with it or mistake it for our essence. This body is impermanent. It will break down and dissolve. Yet if we know how to use it properly, it will carry us to the shore of awakening, where we are no longer bound by birth and death or by the sufferings the body brings. How, then, do we use the body like a raft to cross the river? First, we need to understand that this raft is not perfect. It has cracks and flaws, yet it still works. Our body is the same. It is not always healthy or beautiful. Some days we feel full of energy, walking lightly and working efficiently. Other days we are tired and sore and want only to lie still. That is the body's nature. It changes, it is impermanent, yet we need not despise it or abandon it. We only need to accept it as a temporary tool. Think of an ordinary morning. You wake up and feel your body as you step out of bed. Your legs may be a little stiff, your back a bit sore, and yet you can still walk, still breathe, still live. That body, though imperfect, is the raft carrying you into a new day and through life's experiences. We do not have to demand that it be forever strong and youthful. We only need to be grateful that it is here, helping us continue along the path. Using the body as a raft does not mean indulging in desire, nor does it mean tormenting it with asceticism. The Buddha taught the middle way. This means we care for the body with mindfulness, but without clinging and without excess. We eat to nourish it, not to chase flavor. We rest to restore it, not to be lazy. We move to keep it healthy, not to show off. Every action arises from wakefulness and from the understanding that this body is temporary, a means rather than the final goal. Every action becomes a chance to contemplate the body and to see that it is a means, not an end. Try practicing now. Sit down, breathe deeply, bring attention to the whole body, and feel your body as a raft. Bones are the logs. Blood is the water that binds them together. Breath is the wind that propels it. Warmth is the fire that sustains life. Know that this raft is floating on a river, sometimes calm, sometimes rough, yet still carrying you onward. Ask yourself, am I clinging to this raft? Do I treat it as the destination? Then exhale and smile. Thank you, raft, for traveling with me. When we contemplate the body as a raft, we see its impermanence and impurity more clearly. The raft is not durable. It wears down with time and may break when facing large waves. The body is the same. It grows, ages, gets sick, and finally disintegrates. We cannot keep it forever, just as we cannot keep the raft after crossing the river. And the raft is not pure. It is covered with stains and scratches from the water. The body is the same, full of sweat and bodily fluids we often avoid. Yet when we understand this, we no longer fear or despise it. We simply accept it and feel gratitude. Part 8. Conclusion: Returning to the body. In the previous section, we saw the body as a raft across the river, a temporary means that carries us through the stream of birth and death, not an ultimate end to cling to. Now we will close this journey of contemplation by returning to the body. We recognize that the body is not only the source of suffering or merely a makeshift raft. It is also life itself, the living present, and a path to wisdom and liberation when we live with it mindfully. Let us look back over the road we have traveled. We began by looking at the body and asking what it is, realizing that we live in it every day yet rarely understand it. We then saw the body as the source of suffering, from the frailty of childhood and the desires of youth to the decline of old age. We moved through the stages of the body, seeing impermanence in every change and every moment. We learned to contemplate the body to understand and let go, seeing that it is not solid, not pure, and not the self. We explored the 4 foundations of mindfulness, where contemplation of the body is the base that opens the door to the deeper foundations. We recognized the link between the body and desire, seeing how it drives behavior and how mindfulness helps us transcend it. And finally, we viewed the body as a raft, a means for crossing birth and death. Now we return to the body not to abandon it, but to live with it. We see that it is life, the reality at hand, and a path to wisdom and freedom if we know how to dwell with it in mindfulness. The body is life. Have you ever thought of that? Right now, as you hear these words, your body is alive and operating in a wondrous way. Your heart beats steadily without your command. Your lungs draw in and release air, carrying it to every cell. Blood flows through every vessel, nourishing the body without your control. All of this unfolds in silence and in a natural, yet powerful way. This body is life, a gift we carry, and simply by returning to it we see that happiness is not far away. It is here in each breath and each heartbeat. Imagine a quiet morning. You sit by a window as sunlight falls through the glass onto your hand. You lift your hand and feel the warmth, feel the skin, feel the blood flowing beneath. You take a deep breath and feel the air enter, then exhale and feel lightness. In that moment you need seek nothing more. You need not chase success, fame, or love because life is already here in this body and in this reality. Returning to the body is returning to life. Returning to life is living fully with what we have rather than chasing what we do not have. But returning to the body is not only feeling life. It is also contemplating it to see impermanence and impurity clearly. This is the journey we have walked, and now we embody it by living it. Each day we return to the breath, knowing it is not forever. One day it will stop. We return to our steps, knowing these legs will slow and weaken over time. We return to every part of the body, knowing it is not pure, that beneath the skin are blood and bones and things we usually avoid. Seeing this, we do not become disgusted or afraid. We accept and appreciate it because this is the nature of life. How do we return to the body each day? A simple way is to begin with the breath. The breath is the thread that connects us to the body and the quickest doorway back. Try practicing now. Sit down, place your hand on your belly, close your eyes, and breathe in deeply. Feel the air passing through the nose, down into the chest and belly. Breathe out slowly. Feel the belly fall and the air pass out. Do this a few times, then widen attention to the whole body, sensing from head to toe. Do nothing, change nothing, only know. In those few minutes you are returning to the body. You are living with life and with reality. Another way is to contemplate impermanence with each step you take. Whether indoors, in the yard, or on the street, attend to every step. Feel the foot touch the ground, the knee bend, the hips move. Remember that each step is part of a journey, that these legs have carried you through many years and one day will stop. Do not be sad or afraid. Only know, walking with such mindfulness, you are returning to the body and living with it in every moment. Finally, we can contemplate impurity to release our delusions. Think of this body as a composite, not a perfect statue. When you bathe, be aware of the water washing away sweat and dust. When you eat, be aware that food changes inside the body into things that are not clean. When you breathe, be aware that the air carries dust and bacteria. These reflections are not to disgust you, but to awaken you, to show that the body is not something to worship, but something to understand and to use on the path of awakening. To close this long journey, let us practice once more. Sit down, breathe deeply, and bring attention to the whole body. Feel the breath. Feel the heartbeat. Sense each part from head to toe. Ask yourself, what is this body? Will it remain forever? Is it truly me? Then exhale and smile. Thank you, body, for being life and for being the path that brought me here. Carry this mindfulness into your life from today and from this moment, so that each day is a day you live with the body, live with reality, and live with responsibility. Dear friends, our journey of contemplating the body comes to a close here. Yet this is not an end. It is a beginning, the beginning of a new way of life in which we honor the body without clinging, understand impermanence and impurity, and still find peace. Thank you for walking with me through each section, each story, and each breath. Keep returning to the body, to life, and continue step by step along the path of awakening. Now take a deep breath, feel your body, and smile at it with gratitude.